Okay, hello everyone, my name is Random Gamer Riven and it is Monday the 4th of May. So, as they say in Star Wars, or as we jokingly say, may the 4th be with you. A pun on may the Force be with you. Although these days, with the way the new Star Wars films have been, it's been, oh my god, I can't believe what I've just watched for the past 3 hours. So, in today's video, I am going to be playing, how you pronounce it, Nekketsu Oyako is how I think how it's actually pronounced. However, it's roughly translated, it's hot-blooded family or hot-blooded, you could call it Blazing Force family. Basically, the premise is you play as one of 3 characters, basically the husband, the daughter, and the assistant of the wife of the husband and the mother of the daughter. And basically she's been kidnapped and you have to go rescue her, hence the name Hot-Blooded Family. Basically, this is a rescue game. Now, this was made by Tecno Soft, and this was originally released on the PlayStation 1 back in '94, before being released on the Saturn in '95. It never got a Western release on any format, so it is Japanese exclusive both on the PlayStation and the Saturn. Probably got caught out by the Sony policy at the time with no 2D games because of various members of management that was later used on the Sega Saturn as well, but not going to go into that today. However, it does have a few noteworthy moments. It's certainly a solid game. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but one of the reasons I felt like doing this, I felt like doing a quality scrolling beat 'em up. I've just spent the weekend playing Streets of Rage 4, and I have to admit that is very run-of-the-mill at the best of times. So let's put an actual decent beat 'em up, one that actually understands the genre. Streets of Rage 4 basically suffers from an issue where fans are not best placed to make sequels. So, I'm just going to set the number of lives here. I'm not entirely sure what difficulty I've set it to. I was mucking around earlier, so that'll do. Let's hope that's... So, basically, there are 1 of 3 characters to play as in this. In fact, you know what, I'm just going to quickly show you guys the introduction, as I haven't actually videoed that yet, because I started on the option menus. I'm just going to let you listen to the music briefly and it'll just bring up the introduction of all the characters. Thank you for the like already. Thank you very much. I'm glad to see you like our stream today. I'm guessing I picked quite a popular game. So, Nekketsu Oya, or Hot-Blooded Family, it's basically Tecno Soft trying their hand at scrolling beat 'em up. I mean, Tecno Soft are best known for Thunder Force 5. The Thunder Force series, I should say, not only one numbered Thunder Force, probably Thunder Force 4 and probably Thunder Force 5, I think be some of the most popular. You can see there's a little bit of an Operation Wolf style there, with the old equipping the knife and guns stuff, in this case the boot and thing. And that's it, Hot-Blooded Family. That's literally the entire tracked sequence for this, so... And I just noticed that actually dropped out the signal, so I assume when it actually does the intro, it's actually changing resolution for a moment. That's interesting. The Saturn does have some weird resolution. So we can play as the father, the daughter, who's the fast one, the father's the strong one, and we can play as the lab assistant of the wife as well, who's been kidnapped. So power, speed, skill. Now I've heard... Ew, I wasn't going to... Obviously, have a time limit. I've heard the girl is the weakest character by far, so... I must confess, although owning this game for a very, very long time, and it is very good, I have never, ever finished it. This is one of those many Saturn games I think I bought when back in the 2000s, when they were all fairly cheap-ish, and you basically bought loads of them, and you ended up playing a couple going, yeah, it's really good, we'll get back to playing it, and you just didn't get it. So the one difference between the Saturn's version So there are two major differences between the Saturn and PlayStation version, and just to indicate the point there, the Saturn's version has mesh effects for some of the transparencies, annoyingly. It shouldn't do, but it does. So the PS1 version is full-on transparencies. The Saturn's version does have a remix soundtrack that is vastly superior to the PS1 soundtrack. So you have, each character has a couple of moves. You have your A button attack, which is your standard attack. I think it's just the 3 buttons. Your B, and then you've got a super magic. Blow everything up, take a bit of damage. Obviously you don't take the... You also get guns in this, so as you see there, I now have a... No, I can't actually pick that up. No, I didn't want to use that. Rifle. So certain characters do have the ability to pick up certain weapons. I know the kids can't actually pick up the alcohol you can get in this, but they can pick up other drinks. So this is quite a wacky scrolling beam up as well. Not quite as wacky as, say, Prula on the Saturn, but certainly it has its wackiness to it. There's a few bits. Certainly the second stage is absolutely crazy. I won't spoil what that is, seeing as it's coming up. So I'm just basically going to play this and see how well I do for the next hour. Oh, is that? Yep. Coins. Money. Getting very reminiscent of Dungeons and Dragons there. So this does, so there we got some Sega Saturn in the windows. I assume they are PS1s on the PlayStation version. We've got some teddy bears. We've also got some cool, there's some really nice sprites in this, as you'll see, some really nice scaling. As I mentioned, the PS1 version does have transparencies, but the Saturn's version has a remix soundtrack, so it really is take your mix, which one you want. And really, the Saturn's version should have transparencies, but what the classic case is the Saturn could handle PS1 code, so you could redo. Just trying to figure out what that ground... So she's got... I'm just trying to work out what that... I can't quite work out what that hurricane... She's got that sort of fireball thing that comes down. Oh, is that used to just throw off another character? You catapult yourself. The times like this, I should actually confess, I should really be getting out the manual and just giving it a quick prior play before actually starting the stream. It has been a very, very long time since I played this, though. But this has got that classic Technosoft, awesome all-action music. It's actually a little bit annoying because you can't seem to pick up, if you've got the gun, you can't pick up items until you actually use the weapons. There. The other character did say the girl's quite weak. She really does lack the strength. When we get to the round, I'll actually nip out the manual. But this is, as you see there, it's a very, very crazy sort of... Can I actually get in the car? That attack is... I'm just trying to figure out what that ground sort of smack... You do actually have quite a few moves. This is sort of a bit of a homage to Streets of Rage and Final Fight. There's a lot of elements of both series. One of the things this gets right that I have noticed in Streets of Rage 4, Streets of Rage 4 gets the Y and X planing totally wrong. So you don't quite have the Y and X planes you should do, because you should always be able to hit enemies slightly above them and below you to make the add a level of difficulty and judgment like in real life, because effectively you don't fight pure 2D. But Streets of Rage 4 does have that, and it's just one of the many factors that was really annoying me in Streets of Rage 4. There's some absolutely great sprite work on this one. And also some quite nice hazards as well. See, you've got to avoid the signposts. This is all the hallmarks of a classic game. I think it's just it perhaps doesn't quite have the combat, but that's actually really nice with the things like the signposting. Admittedly, that's taken from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but if it's a good idea, reuse it, so to speak. Although instantly there's only one instance of that actually happening in Turtles. It's like a one-off moment on the second stage. So I'm going to see how far I can get. Will I be able to finish this? That's going to be a very good question. Okay, you can pick up health. So I've got the shotgun. Now, there is actually a beer item which only the father can drink. It won't let the kids drink it. So if I get one, you'll see. It literally says adults only. But yeah, that music is that classic Tecno Soft music. Just great stuff. And the perfect scrolling beat-em-up music as well. Just pumping with action. Just really good. Again, what is that? Is that Dragon Punch? Okay, I'm just going to use this hammer spin. Oh, do you end the hammer spin with a second? So yeah, there are perhaps one or too many mesh effects. I think that's purely because this is a direct PS1 port. So although it's got a better soundtrack, if you port PS1 code directly, I think the issue is you end up substituting transparencies for mesh effects if you're doing things a bit lazy. It's not that the Saturn can't do transparencies, it's just that often developers didn't quite have the time or the way they'd set transparencies up. If you set them up for the PS1, they need to be completely recoded for the PS2, which is something many developers didn't want to do. The big wave! Okay, here we go. Quarter circle towards, charge C, down an A, up an A, holding them down an A. Okay, yes, I should have read the manual prior to starting. What I'm learning is how whirlwind special is basically the best way to damage enemies and to do combos on them. She has like an extended attack as well, so they've got quite a good range of moves. I mean, visually it's not a bad looking Saturn game. It's not the best looking Saturn game. Again, it's a PS1 title, but even for a PS1 launch title, well, I suppose not bad for a PS1 launch title. Got lots of great sprite showing. I thought so. It's a variant on one of the throws. She's actually got an awful lot of movers based on when you actually grab an enemy in a throw stance. Oh, you start be a bit cheeky and use the super there. Bloody hell, that uses a lot of damage, the super. Might be using that too often then. I think I may be swapping to the Hager character in the near future. Probably for the second replay run, because this is not... Yeah, I did see a few people say she's a very weak character, and she's certainly showing it. Oh, she's got a slide there. I didn't notice that. She's actually got quite a few moves. It's quite surprising how many moves she's got, because some scrolling beat-em-ups can be a little bit limited on their moves. She's actually got quite a few. There are quite a few hidden moves here, so it's... Seems to be a lot coming from throws as well. So you've got your straight throw attacks, then you seem to have... Okay. And try and get... Let's get the grenade. That's going to cost me a ton of health, that super, yeah. Okay, those supers are really not worth doing. So those cat girls seem to be the sort of run-on equivalent of the sort of grenade guys from Final Fight. They throw the attack and then they run off. Or the knife throw guys as well throw on. I'm finding myself doing the spin attack an awful lot. Her speed, she's got an issue where her speed doesn't combo stun them enough. I did see a couple people say she was not a particularly good character. I didn't mean to pick her, it's just the timer ran out and I thought, what the hell. I hope there wasn't a poisoned pufferfish. HBO is a reference to water. So yeah, there are a lot of transparency effects in this that are just meshes annoyingly. So out we come and in a giant Sega Saturn, Sega-san. Shame Sega Sanshiro doesn't come up to kick-ass, but sadly he didn't join, he wasn't available till sometime after this game was released. I think he was 96 or 97 he first appeared. So if we do get a few requests, if you're watching this video back, please let me know if you want to see a full playthrough. I will probably get around to doing a playthrough of this at some point in the near future. I think this is the only slightly wacky stage. I think most of the others are sort of fairly straightforward. Although next, I think one of them is on a theme park. I think there's only 5 stages, so there's this one in a whale. The first one, which is sort of a fairground-ish. We're adults only, so we can't drink beer. Should say both players have independent credits in case you hadn't noticed, so that does mean you can do the old wizard. If player 1 runs out of credits, you can then jump in as player 2, which is so basically if you have joint credits, the problem is you both use them, whereas if you have independent credits, you have the advantage where player 1 can turn into player 2 when player 1 dies, and then although I do prefer independent credits because it lets you decide and share credits accordingly, without the worry about who's using up with the credits more. She's not very good, I have to admit. She's struggling with a lot of these. Supposed to be the fast character, but she's not doing the fastest hits. And I did see somebody say, he said she was the weakest character. The kid character had just one utterly broken move, so basically he could just defeat everything, and the Haggard guy was the most balanced of all the characters. Hero Claw Island. I'm assuming that might mean supposed to mean claw, seeing as they often get R and L muddled up with the Japanese. Some great Technosoft music in this. It really is that classic sort of Technosoft. And it's actually, considering the fact this is, I think, was this Technosoft's first scrolling beat 'em up, is a very competent game. Okay, that's what that is. You do quarter circle back. On grabbing an opponent, is that? Teddy bear, and I could really do with some health, but the game's not going to give me some. What I like about this, you have a lot of sprites on screen, which is really good to see. Just again, another classic sort of. So scrolling beat 'em ups, I think, as a genre, are a weird one. A lot of people said, well, they died out. Not really. They're a genre that basically became so many other games. Games like Batman Arkham Asylum have a large chunk of their gameplay down to scrolling beat 'em ups. Grand Theft Auto, a large chunk of it is a scrolling beat 'em up, but its evolution moved away from its raw form of just having purely scrolling beat 'em up action. Often the scrolling beat 'em up was incorporated into another element of the game. So it's probably one of the most pivotal genres, but it's just, it doesn't appear much as a game on its own anymore. I think one of the problems is most people saw scrolling beat 'em ups purely as an arcade game, and you only need to look at what happens when you do games like Guardian Heroes and even Dungeons and Dragons, where when you start adding in multiple routes, advanced stories, how you can really take the genre and push it. The problem is so few people actually did. You end up in this quasi scenario where probably Capcom's Dungeons and Dragons and Guardian Heroes are two of the best scrolling beat 'em ups ever made, and have since not been beaten. And we're talking, they're from the 90s now, so both mid-90s games, which is a pretty damning concept. You've had some recent contenders to the throne, so you had the Scott Pilgrim game, which we've got videos on the channel for. That's decent, not great, but it was decent. It was good. It had flaws though. It tried to copy River City without implementing the actual game's design of River City, so it ended up not being a good. One game recently we did cover on the channel, and I must mention that we received a copy to review, was Fight and Rage. That is actually pretty decent. You also have Dungeons and Dragons 4, which is another recent one. That's not Double Dragon 4, I should say. That's actually quite a good one, but the downside is, yeah, she's really starting to struggle now. The downside of Double Dragon 4. Don't know why I call it. Dungeons and Dragons Tower of Doom and Shadow over Mysteria are the Capcom ones. Yeah, Double Dragon 4 was the sort of relatively recent one done by Arc System. But it's actually quite competent, but it's not a sequel to the arcade games, it's a sequel to the NES games. As a sequel to the NES games, it's actually really good, but if you go in expecting a sequel to the arcade games, you'll be sorely disappointed. Yeah, she's really struggling as a character now. Her hits are just, she just lacks the strength. She's really... maybe swapping character in it, because she is really struggling. Oh, that's right, this one actually has over health, at least for some characters, not for her, it seems. So on the nice stage sections, we're actually on a roller coaster. Although admittedly, with this roller coaster having loop-the-loops, you'd really want to get off it before the loop-the-loops start happening. You can see there we've got a loop-the-loop in the background and stuff. There's actually a lot going on here. I'm actually having... yeah, this is getting really hectic. Oh, wow. What's have we got there? 10 guys? Yeah, this is impressive. This is more enemies on screen than Streets of Rage 4. Okay, what... is that 20? What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4... Just trying to count how many enemies we've got on the screen here. We've just got a huge number. Okay, got them all. Just in time, but yes. This has some impressive number of sprites on screen. This is really, really impressive. And much more impressive than Streets of Rage 4, which doesn't have half that number, even on the hardest difficulty setting. Oh, we've got a bit of danger now, so I have to be careful of the minecarts. I must admit, I'm really finding her. She's just not doing the damage to these guys. Let's see how far I can get as her, and then I'll swap to another character. You don't appear to be able to change character once you pick them either, so I'm just going to have to just see how far I can get. So that's... Yes, this is the thing, she's supposed to be the fastest character, but some of the enemies really are getting their attack, can just basically get out their attacks while you're trying to combo. So effectively, I mean, she's not invulnerable during that spin either, which leaves her incredibly weak during some of the frames of it. Yeah, so that's actually quarter circle back, but it's a bit weird to pull off sometimes. Ah, that's quarter circle jump. I'm just trying to figure out what her last one is, because it doesn't tell you every move in the manual. So I'm just trying to work out her, like back, and she does the sort of So you do actually have quite a nice set of moves in this, more so than Streets of Rage 4. So we've got that one's quarter circle back. It's just the only one I'm trying to figure out at the minute is the one where she goes back. The manual only tells you a couple of moves, and this game is not particularly well documented. So you've got quarter circle forward and jump does that. Quarter circle back does the hammer, but it's a bit weird to pull off. So if I do that in the air, it's guaranteed to come off. But if I do that in the ground, you doing the... And then she said one. Okay, so we've got flames. I mean, again, you've got some really nice stages and perils in this. Something that I didn't see in Streets of Rage 4. I've been really disappointed with Streets of Rage 4. It's been a very, very mediocre game. Okay, gotta get my jumps just right. I must admit, my commentary's not been great today. I feel I've been waffling a bit, mainly because I'm quite enjoying this, actually. This is actually a very, very good game. Just wish there weren't so many mesh effects on the Saturn's version. Yeah, it doesn't... They do a lot of damage when they hit you. I'm just trying... I don't know if you can actually hit to damage them either. Now, so they don't give you score. Supposedly they're supposed to give you over health, but obviously not for her. Okay. You've got large guy, robotic arms, hammer! No, I wasn't doing that. I want to throw the grenade. So the classic way to actually fight most enemies in scrolling beat 'em up is called, it's basically what you do is the X and Y playing. And what I mean by that is you basically stand above someone and move down into them, or let them move up to you, so that way you can basically, they can't hit you back. Because basically most characters will have basically a phrase where usually there'll be a frame or two where you can hit them and they can't hit you. Now they'll still rapidly be able to move into your hit detection area, but you can rapidly just get them and move out. So basically you hit them, move out, hit them, move out. That's the classic scrolling beat 'em up attack boss tactic. As always guys, if you're liking this stream and able to, please do hit that like button. I realise not everyone's signed in, so you can't always like a stream. But again, if you enjoy our content, my name's Random Gamer Riven, and I'm the host of this randomised gaming content. And if you want to see more of it, please do subscribe to the channel and follow us. Okay, I'm going to do... This guy's actually... Yeah, so if I try and hit him, I've got to be right above him. Can I? Oh, we've got a grab on him. Yep, go, go. Okay, you go, girl. Cheers for the additional like, guys. Always welcome. Much appreciated. Just going to try and see if I can... So he's basically got to lure this guy out. Try and see... I'm just going to see if I can... Okay, I'm getting towards the end of my health. I'm going to swap character in a minute. I'm going to swap... If I take too much more damage, I will literally swap to player 2's joypad. You know what, I'm going to do a super attack there. See how much damage that does to hammer. Oh, that finished him off. So yeah, we've gone from theme parks to magma caves to the inside of a whale. So it's actually quite... we've got quite a nice band there. Sky Gear, World 4. Okay, so your health doesn't get... Okay, that's annoying. Your health doesn't get restarted. So I'm about to pause the game any second and swap to player 2's joypad. Oh yes, you can double jump as well. Ah yes, I should remember that. It's one of those things where it's something you forget about because you don't have it in so many other scrolling beat 'em ups. That's the boomerang. Right, I'm... So there are actually different weapons for different characters. The father can use a bazooka. I don't believe he can use the rifles or the shotguns, but he can use the bazookas. gonna have to try and figure out a few of the moves because I couldn't find a guide, and there's definitely actually more moves than I was initially expecting. Oh, we've got some nasty big guys. I suspect these guys are going to give me some trouble. Oh. Okay, this is where I pause the game, grab the other two-player joypad. Oh, it didn't let me pick my character. Bad game, bad game. It automatically gave player 2 as Tora. A bit annoying. It does have to load in, which is a bit disappointing, but not too bad. A minor load for loading in the second character is not the end of the world. I've got jump. So you've got punch. He can run, flying knee. Can he slide like the girl? No, he can't slide. Let's grab this. I'm just going to quickly figure out his moves, seeing as I'm swapping character. Knee. So C does a slam, special slam. A up kick something. Okay. Double jump. Yeah, he can't pick up the rocket launchers, but he can pick up the rifles. Yeah, now this attack is far more powerful. You look how much damage that does over the girl's attack. It's really that guy is called Van Damme. Van Damme! I wonder if it's related to Jean-Claude. Or inspired by Jean-Claude. Of course, the well-known actor. Okay, I'm just gonna. The pitch is gonna drop out a second because I just. Well, pitch just dropped out because I just adjusting the SCART lead slightly because I think it was a bit loose. So I noticed the sound was. We were getting a background hum, but I should say we're using an official RGB Sega Saturn SCART lead, so. So it should give me the best SCART lead picture going here at Randomised Gaming, although I'm not entirely sure whether you can build custom SCARTs that are better. Do be wary of third-party SCARTs, often they can be quite poorly made. Especially RGB SCARTs, you can get a very big mix of RGB SCARTs. I personally prefer using the official ones, as generally they're very good quality. Oh, is that the next boss? New enemy? Some sort of weird bombing guy. Reminds me of no, new enemy, Gyro. Okay, he reminds me a lot of Baxter Stockman from the Turtles. Okay, and he's bombing. Okay, this is where I'm going to need the double jump. Really going to need that double jump. Plan B. I'm going to use the super. Gotcha. Oh, more. So you actually got a huge range of enemies here. We each stage seems to be introducing new enemies, which is really nice for scrolling beat 'em up. Often they don't tend to introduce enemies in the last couple of stages, and I found that with the new Streets of Rage. That was very, very repetitive with a lot of the enemies it introduced. I didn't quite know what it wanted to be. I'm basically having a bit of a moan about the Streets of Rage because I really have been very unimpressed with it. And we were debating if to cover it in a stream in the near future. Right, let's see if I can actually finish this, even though I'm using tons of credits. So this is actually my first playthrough, so forgive the bad-ish gameplay at times. It's me still getting to learn the system, but it's a very competent scrolling beat 'em up, I will admit. It is actually a very good. It's certainly not the worst I've played. I think probably, so Batman Forever on the Sega Saturn's pretty goddamn, pretty awful. That's probably the worst scrolling beat 'em up I can think about. We still don't have. I must admit, I'd love to get a copy of Crow's The Battle Action on Sega Saturn. That's also said to be one of the worst ones. Incidentally, if anyone's ever played The Crow, which is not to be confused with Crow The City of Angels, not to be confused with The Crow The Battle Action on Sega Saturn. Crow City of Angels was based on the film range called The Crow, and that's, I suppose you could argue that might be ish a 3D scrolling beat 'em up. It's like a weird Resident Evil. That is absolute terrible. But probably one of the worst is Three Dirty Dwarfs, which that's interesting because Three Dirty Dwarfs is not fantastic. It's not bad, but these days the prices of Three Dirty Dwarfs is very, very expensive, but it's very middle of the road. It's got some nice animation, it's got some nice designs, it's got some really interesting boss battles, some really fun wacky moments, but overall the game doesn't gel particularly well. It's great that it's 3-player, but it's not that good, Three Dirty Dwarfs. But it's not the weakest, it's not the strongest, I should say. I think this is sort of... Oh, that's a bit... walls coming down now. This is probably in the upper tier. I think certainly Guardian Heroes and Dungeons & Dragons, two of my all-time favourite games, are both on the Saturn. Die Hard Arcade is absolutely fantastic, or Dynamite Deku, as the Die Hard Arcade was really just a license name. That's actually one I would like to get a Japanese copy of Dynamite Deku. Again, the music in this is just brilliant. Having listened to Streets of Rage 4's soundtrack, I must admit, I know Yoza Cairo ended up doing a few tracks for it, but the few he did are mainly the title screen. It's very, very underwhelming soundtrack that really doesn't feel the game at all. It just feels very disconnected. This is much more sort of 90s beats you just listen to, relax, and just beats to... Yeah, this is not an easy scrolling beat 'em up, I must admit. Yeah, so basically those cat girls, I said, they're the running guys that just literally run in, cause havoc, and then run off screen. Yeah, he's much, much stronger. I must admit, he is much stronger than the girl. That basically, he's just got that forward attack that just does so much damage, and a multi-hit combo one as well. I must admit, me and Dragoon actually played through Streets of Rage 3, and then we did Fight and Rage afterwards. And as I mentioned, we were sent a review copy of that. Fight and Rage is actually a really, really enjoyable game, and I actually do prefer that to Streets of Rage 4. Prefer Double Dragon 4 as well. There's even on PS4 there's also another one, a very bloody one called Mother Russia Bleeds. that's actually surprisingly good for an indie one as well. Again, you have a huge range of the arcade archives as well, so a lot of the Neo Geo ones, Mutant Nation, Robot Army, the Shengorkis. So you do actually have quite a good selection of arcade games, basically scrolling beat-em-ups on the PS4 that I would highly recommend. I'll try and get these out. These guys are real troublesome when I was fighting them earlier. Just because those bombs do so much damage. Yep, got him out. Okay, we have boss time. So this is stage 4's boss. Leon, and he appears to be a chameleon. I wonder if he's related to a certain character from Star Fox. Oh, some more Sega Saturns. I am the Great Leon! Oh, that is actually a frisbee, so you can catch it again. It goes to show what happens when you play a game you've barely played before. I've played it like once or twice. But yeah, it's been a long time. This is one of those games I should have played through a long time ago. But yeah, it's really good. This is really good stuff. Okay, it's a little short. It's not as in-depth as Guardian Heroes, but this, you know, I'm enjoying this more than Streets of Rage 4. It's got more enemies on screen as well, and it's a totally different console that's about a quarter of the power of the PS. Probably about an eighth of the power of the PS4. World 5, Big Black. So I believe this is the final stage in the game. It's time to rescue his assistant. He's the assistant of the mother who's been kidnapped. Adults only. So we can use guns, we can't use beer. We can throw grenades, we can throw lies, we cannot drink beer. So, of course, my score is pretty terrible, seeing as I'm using quite a few credits, but I just thought I'd play for fun. So, streams time's technically up, but you know what? I'm going to do a rough playthrough, and I will do a very rough playthrough tonight and in this stream, and then me and Dragoon should probably try and do a proper 2-player stream playthrough. Yeah, this is really good, but it's actually surprisingly tricky. It's not a game you can just... I should be using this slap. Oh, she's... So yeah, we were debating if to stream one of the Streets of Rage in the near future. We haven't actually covered any of the Streets of Rage on the channel. I'm sure some of you probably would like to see a Streets of Rage playthrough by us. Nice 4K. I think... So, this is the thing. We can do Streets of Rage... So we can do Streets of Rage 1... We can do all of them, and we can do Bare Knuckles. The problem is, the only one we don't own... So, although I've got Streets of Rage 3 in various collections, and we've got the M2 collection on 360, and we've got the recent one on PS4, so we can do Bare Knuckles 3, I would really love to do a proper run on a Japanese cartridge on the Mega Drive of Bare Knuckles 3, which is the one version I don't have. Or none of us have at the randomised game. Well, mine in particular, because I'm the Mega Drive member of the team. Actually, I'm the Mega Drive, Saturn and SNES member. And I do not have a copy of Bare Knuckles 3 on Mega Drive. I have a PAL Streets of Rage, but not bare knuckles. And Streets of Rage 3 is one of those games that I really want to do a playthrough, but only in the bare knuckles version, because basically Streets of Rage 3 is a butchered port of bare knuckles 3. It's so bad that the game it's just made a totally different game. My opinion of it is this: bare knuckles 3 is miles better than bare knuckles 2. Streets of Rage 3 is vastly inferior to Streets of Rage 2 because the game was so badly mutilated, basically. So badly censored. They made the game harder, they cut out a playable character, they censored they censored the endings, they censored the actual storyline, they censored credit sequences, they censored characters. They even made some really other bizarre, needless changes. It's just not a version I like in the slightest. It's made ugly hard as well. They just increased the life bars of all the enemies, so everyone takes about 4 health bars to beat. It was just really just not a good conversion. Streets of Rage 3, whereas bare knuckles 3, phenomenal. And this reminds me a lot of Streets of Rage 2, actually. Admittedly, the stages, you're only moving left to right. The minecart one was actually the minecart section, yeah, and the roller coaster one was probably one of the more interesting ones. The whale stage is quite hilarious, but oh, the chandeliers! I've got to watch what I'm doing. This is the trouble with talking, and I'm not very good at chatting and playing games at the same time. I've got to try and make at least some interesting. I know some of you might want to listen to the commentary, some of you don't. That is the £64,000 conundrum, so to speak. Some people want commentary, some people don't. So I try to balance it a bit, I have to admit. Although I can waffle occasionally, I will admit that. Okay, right, she's best just to grab and throw. She's really annoying. Sharon. So yeah, an awful lot of sprites on screen. Really impressive. And the boss from the first stage is back. So this is actually done quite well. They haven't really regenerated too many of the troops till right at the end. So we're refighting the bosses now. Yeah, I'm just going to blitz this attack. This is the best attack. Just blitz this. Just go crazy. Oh wow, she's using her hair as a weapon as well. Is this invulnerable? Is that an invulnerable frame? Is she ever going to stop whipping her hair? Yep, Nikita is back. There we go, we've got her. But I felt like doing a scrolling beat-em-up today, and I felt, you know what, because we haven't actually done a true scrolling beat-em-up. We did Beautiful Joe, but that's not a true scrolling beat-em-up yet, and I do like to mix up the streams. We are randomised gaming. We do play games from every single genre. I suppose the one title I haven't done is sports, so I suppose I'm promptly due to... Ooh, that... Okay, I need to get some health and quick, and I want to avoid the spikes. So yeah, as I mentioned, this one, the Saturn's version, for those of you joining the stream, so basically this was a PS1 launch game, or early title. I think I was told it was a launch, but I didn't actually double check that. I think a couple people said it was a launch, but it was only released in Japan. It was developed by Technosoft and it was published by Technosoft. And the PS1 version has a weaker soundtrack, but has full transparencies. This the Saturn's version has a better soundtrack, but because I think they've based it on the PS1 code, they haven't done any of the transparencies properly, so, which is annoying. It's a sort of 50-50 sort of split, which you prefer, if you want the transparency effects or if you want the better music. So yeah, one thing you have got to watch. Yeah, this is one thing you have got to watch with this. You can't. Your standard punches don't combo particularly well, so you're often really vulnerable. I must admit, the girl actually has more moves than Toro, but Toro has a much better. Just basically that one move is just the dagger slash is just vastly better. Got range as well on the X and Y, so you can really whack, and it hits behind slightly as well. He doesn't have a slide though. He does have that knee, which actually launches into a combo, so you see he does an airborne combo when you do. Ooh, ooh, oh, a bit of slow down there. Oh, we've got a bit of slow down there. We'll lose a few of the enemies just so we can reduce the slowdown. Ooh, ye gad, that's... Okay, that's the first time I've had any major slowdown in this, but yeah, that's not good, that bit. I wonder if the PS1 version is slow down there. Maybe, maybe not. But to be honest, it's only a small amount of slowdown. I couldn't care two hoots about it. Oh, yes. I mean, some magazine reviews would be writing a thread about slow down. It's terrible. It's the end of the world. The game has minus slow. I'm just like, well, as long as the game doesn't feel like it's running in treacle, as a few games did on the Saturn, then the slowdown's not really a problem. If you're only having it in one or two scenes, although it might be intentional, because trying to dodge that without knowing when it's coming would be a bit annoying. Okay, that's speeding up now. Okay, is that him gone? I want to move, move, move. Okay, here we go with the second boss. Back. Yeah, see that slash, the range and the damage on that is just... I just sit here and spam this basically. Oh wow, it's just... knock him on the ground. Okay, this is just well overpowered. And I got him. Again, guys, if you're liking our video, please, as always, do hit that like button. And again, if you're not a subscriber and this is the first time you're watching this channel, welcome to Randomised Gaming. I'm the host of this video, Random Gamer Riven. And as always, if you like our content, please do sub to the channel as well if you enjoy it. We always welcome your support. And at the minute, we're doing daily weekday streams while the current world situation is going on, just to keep everyone a bit happier. I won't mention exactly what's going on in the world because you probably all know, and if I do even mention it, YouTube starts doing all sorts of weird funky things with the videos, so... But if you have suggestions for games you'd like us to stream, by all means do drop a comment. Okay, I need to get a move on. That's not good. Yep, those blades are not going to be good if they catch up with us. And I've just realised I've had the sound on my TV the whole time, so you've probably been here getting duplicate sounds. You may even have a weird echo effect on me. Oh well, apologies if you haven't been able to hear me or if the sound has been a bit sort of doubling up or echoing. Oh, are we going to just bounce him into that? Yep, we are literally going to bounce him into that, and we've just destroyed him. Okay, one more boss to go, and then we'll be the final boss. I'm rapidly running out of credits though, so I'm not sure. This is the thing, when you're playing a game for the first time, you're like, yeah, what tactics do I use to do this? Or I could be really cheeky and not actually finish this on the stream and just sort of say we'll be back for a full complete video at some point in the near future. There are of course a few other people who've already played this game through on YouTube. There are lots of people who played this through, I saw. Here comes Osborne and Van Damme again. Some really nice sized sprites as well in this, and I said you get the chopper as well, and I know the chopper's about to re-emerge in a second. That's quite good, just airborne fly kick between the two of them. Yep, this is anything but a perfect run, but this is literally the first time I've ever got this far, so you'll have to excuse my rough gameplay at playing this. Yeah, his blade attack is just phenomenal. That's just so powerful. His running combo as well is quite effective. Ooh. So I said the rough translation of this game is Hot-Blooded Family, or I suppose Blazing Family Rescue the Wife would be better name. Or Blazing Family Rescue. Blazing Family Rescue. So it's sort of hot heat, I think was the translation of the first one, and then it's sort of parent children. Well, officially it's pronounced Nekketsu Oyako. I must admit, none of the sections are too long as well. They're just about the right length, so they don't outstay their welcome. Which is actually quite nice. They've just about got the length just about right in this, which is a good sign. Weirdly, this new Streets of Rage game had a bit of a weird mix. The first level's a touch too long. A lot of the later levels are far too short, so it's... Oh, have I got him in a loop? I'm just going to do this dash blade. Yep, just going to do this. Just literally loop this. This attack, the enemy will teleport behind me, and then I can just literally... I am the Great Leon! Oh, not for much longer, buddy. Yeah, you can hit it from behind. This blade attack is just so powerful. Oh, little bug there on the right side of the screen. It actually goes too far to the right. So you can see there, you can actually see the layer behind. Okay, I was debating whether to actually finish this on stream, but I think we're going to be okay. I think I will finish this. I was debating whether to sort of hold off the stream, seeing as then I could do a main video of it. Although, to be fair, I think people would probably prefer to see the main video, but I think some people want to watch the stream, so we can do two versions. A stream and a full playthrough video. I'll add this to my list of Saturn playthroughs to do again, hopefully without quite as many deaths. Okay. Although, not if these girls are going to have their way with me. That's quite handy, you just shot one another, but yeah, you look at the number of sprites on screen. Really nice, impressive numbers. We've got about eight there. As I mentioned, one of the early stages, we had like nearly 10, 15, 20 almost. So Technosoft really doing some impressive numbers with the sprites. And there we go, this guy's imitating the bosses from the previous, from Final Fight and Streets of Rage with the machine gun. And before that, Double Dragon. What's he called? Mr. Hero Gore? Mr. Hero Gore. Not exactly the name you'd expect of him, and he is... Ooh, I need to watch that. He's absolutely destroying my health. He's also literally moving to where I am and shoot. Okay, this guy's actually good. Right, double jump, Riven. You can double jump. So double jump. Right. This will remember certain mechanics. So yeah, double jump. Okay, that's going to be nice and easy then. Basically double jump. Really actually getting on par with him is a bit tricky. Ooh. So this is what I mean by making sure you get the X and Y planes right. This is slightly higher, so as you see there, you're not quite level. Streets of Rage 4 is an issue where you literally have to be level because they've got the X and the Y planes wrong. And we've got him. Yay! It's all over. Or is it? Okay, now this is where things... well, that's quite... Oh, criminies. That just slaughtered my health bar. Oh, no, that's a brutal loot. How many... Oh! Oh! Willigers. Okay, I have to save the full playthrough for the actual stream video I did at some point. Man, that actually used up many credits. Okay, I need to practice a bit, and I had additional lives as well. Yes, he absolutely... So yeah, you got the 3 characters there. I didn't actually... I'll just briefly select the Hager lookalike. So yeah, that's... Oh man, you just slaughtered my health on that last thing. I thought I had a credit left. I was being a bit laid back about it. I thought, well, I'll just... Willigers. I'll just quickly show the last character, so the Hager lookalike guy, briefly. So yeah, see there, very much Jesse Ventura, who Hager was based on. But again, really great visuals. It's actually a really good little... So again, you've got a selection of special moves. Oh, he's got an airborne. It's actually just learning what all the special moves are, because they do actually have quite a nice range of moves. The one thing it's mentioned you've got to watch is the combos. I can't use that as a weapon. I didn't realise you could destroy them actually first time round. Is it maybe only he can destroy them? Because there are actually a few... Oh yes, nice little power slam. Yeah, so that you have got... Each of the characters does play a bit differently, and you can use different tactics with each of the different characters. So, oh, I assume you can actually damage the characters. It is actually a really nice little game. It's not particularly big games, you see. If you spend a lot of money on this, you will find you'll probably be able to finish it relatively quickly, unless you limit yourself to the number of credits you use and lives. As you saw there, I did the old 2-player. I mean, I didn't quite finish it, but next playthrough I will do. And next playthrough I hope to only use 1 character, but I don't think I'll be using the girl for the next playthrough. I think if I was to do it, I'll be using this guy. Yeah, he's got some nice combos there. There's actually a really nice little scrolling beat 'em up. As said, it's a good... I mean, I quite liked it. Is it worth the money now? Because I think it's a bit expensive. It's, you know, it's not a big game. You're not going to be spending hours and hours mastering this game. You can have it done in about 3-4 hours, and then it's just a case of seeing if you can get it down to 1 credit clear. And admittedly, trying to 1 credit clear, this is not going to be that... It's not going to be that easy. It's quite a challenging game, I think, in some regards, based on the amount of credits I used. Although saying that, I'll probably clear it once you get to know all the characters. It's fairly straightforward. He does a power fist. You can double jump. He's got a nice little... He's got a... There was something else I was doing. I was doing like a blade wall punch there. So what I will say is there's quite a lot of variety between the 3 characters. They do play very different from one another, which is a really good thing. The tactics that will work for beating it with Tora will certainly not work with Randy. Well, it just gives you a quick sample of his gameplay. Power slam, what else we can do? Oh, we got back punch. Oh, that left me vulnerable. He had some sort of upper slice I saw as well. But yeah, again, really nice looking game. Again, also available on the PS1. I think as mentioned before, Saturn's one has slightly better audio, but you don't get the transparency effects. PS1 has all transparencies. So you get a lot of mesh effects in the Saturn's one. The only transparency you'll notice is when I defeats the characters, they are actually transparent, although technically that's not quite true. They're actually flickering on and off for a frame, so but it appears to be true transparency, which is actually an effect I'm surprised more developers didn't use if you wanted to mimic a transparency. I'll just make a point of actually knocking this guy down and knocking him down so you can see it on screen. So that appears as a full transparency, but it's actually because it's flicking on flame, where they flick on at 60 frames a second. If you flick it off a frame and flick it on a frame, it looks like a true transparency, especially the explosions and messes. He's actually much stronger. He really is much stronger than the other characters, but he doesn't have, I just showed you that blade attack that Tora had, really potent. He's also got airborne, sort of got an airborne slide. I'm trying to figure out what that is. I will be giving this a bit more of a practice. I will be doing a full run at some point on the channel. Yes, that losing, literally, I feel like doing the classic wah 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 sort of music right at the end there, seeing as we lost at the final boss. Never mind. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this stream. I've enjoyed playing through this. This is actually the furthest I've ever got in this game. Really good fun, really enjoyable. So I'm going to finish there. I have been your host, Random Game Riven, for this randomised gaming stream. Just before you go, guys, if you haven't already, please do hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. But thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with another game to do the weekday stream for randomised gaming. I've been your host, Random Game Riven, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Good night from me for now.